Have you ever wondered why some relationships work and others just fall apart? Well, today's guest is Ray Rivers, and he is one of the top marriage and relationship coaches in America. He's going to be sharing with us some wisdom, some insights, and ideas that can transform our relationships forever. So you're going to want to take notes because this is going to be very life changing. You told me, Ray, that you have saved over hundreds of marriages from the brink of divorce. Is that true?
Yes, every couple is dying to just be safe with each other and just love each other and set themselves free from the chains of all their old emotional habits, all their old toxic ways of thinking. And they know that possibility is there, but they don't know how to get there. And so coming into the space with me, they get the clarity on how to be true to this voice inside, this need inside that knows that it's just like weeds that have been growing in a garden, and they've been covering up all the flowers and wrapping around all the trees. And we can just rip all the weeds away and get them out of their own way. We get them out of their own way so they can shine their light and share their light and go forward together happily ever after, literally.
So how did you, like, did you go to school to become like a relationship and marriage coach? Is it your own experience? Like, how did you do that? How did you save hundreds of marriages?
Well, I've been with my wife, Maria, for 30 years, and I am a licensed clinical psychotherapist, but I take a spiritual approach. I've explored many paths of higher consciousness, and they all come down to learning how to release the automatic programming of your mind and your emotions to experience the authentic state of being, the light, the love that we all are. And learning how to apply that to your marriage, to your relationship, is just, it happened very naturally. And when you speak truth, it resonates. So if I have a couple in my office and we start exploring why they've come to this desperate point, suddenly they get this clarity of knowing on how to release all this accumulated rust and be present with each other, once again innocent, once again open, once again pure in their care and in what they need from each other and who they want to be and how they want to be with each other.
So you said 30 years marriage. Was it
30 years together? We didn't get married.
Together.
We met in our mid-20s and we got married in our mid-30s.
So was it always smooth sailing for you?
No, there's no kind of a block that we haven't been around. When you're in a marriage, it's designed that at first the universe or the way of things has designed the chemistry between two people so that when you first fall in love, all of the powerful chemistry that brings you together has a shadow side in which all of your unresolved issues around emotional vulnerability and intimacy on an unconscious level recognize in your partner the opportunity to finally rise to the surface and be healed. You literally heal all of your unresolved issues by loving each other. So you trigger each other's unresolved issues around emotional safety. And then either you spiral into this endless dance of conflict with each other where you end up needing to find a therapist or a relationship coach, or you recognize that it's the opportunity to give each other what you really need to heal all these issues around fear of rejection, fear of emotional abandonment, fear of being controlled, not being seen, being mistreated, being disrespected. All these internalized fears around not being safe. And when you are inspired to give that to each other, then you create this rock solid emotional safety where you've literally won the game. You've literally won the game of life. Because the world is not safe, but your marriage is the one place that you and we all actually have the power to create peace on earth. Peace with each other, peace in our hearts, peace in our home. We don't have to settle for anything other than the most authentic expression of our deepest vision, and we all want the same thing.
Well, let's talk about that vision, because let's say the altar, when people say I do, or in a relationship when they say, will you be my girlfriend or will you be my boyfriend, right? And they make this commitment to each other. They have this vision, this dream of what they want or what they think a relationship should look like. When they say I do, they think, okay, I'm gonna have the best marriage ever. Like, nobody goes into the marriage thinking that it's going to necessarily derail. Right?
Right.
They make their I do's for the vows for a lifetime, till death does us part, and they
Right.
really mean it. Until somewhere along the lines, now that doesn't really hold up. So, like, what went wrong from the I do dream to what went wrong? Like, what tends to go wrong?
So when if you look at the divorce rate in this country, it's or around the world, it's around 50%, and almost every one of those couples on the day they got married couldn't keep their hands off each other. On the day they got married, they were, this is my person forever. I've never felt this way. We get each other so completely. And then, a year later or 5 years later, 10 years later, they're looking at each other and they're like, I think I hate you. So indeed, what happens? So when you first get together, it's this, we call it limerence in the relationship biz. It's this cocktail of hormones and attraction and novelty and desire and all these powerful, it's just a powerful natural phenomenon where you are in love with someone. But this is designed by the cosmos with a shelf life. So it dissipates. And it's kind of like being drunk. It's kind of like being, drunk and you slam your hand in the car door or something and you don't feel it. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, my hand hurts. So you're together and you're high. You're just besotted with each other. And there are all these red flags popping up, but you just feel good. You don't notice them. Oh, they have a different, outlook on this. And well, whatever. I just love you, And once that wears off, then you're actually like waking up sober, a year in or something. And you're like, wait a minute. And then, so we're in a marriage to feel good. And so you feel good. This good feeling causes you to project you project that your partner is perceiving the world and thinking the same way that you are. and you're feeling so good that you're taking that for granted. Once you stop feeling good, then you start noticing ways that you're different, and this is actually a clinical stage that we refer to as differentiation, where you have to learn how to accept um, all the ways that your partner is different and embrace them. So it's kind of like the trajectory is when you're first in love, and it's like every single thing about that person, you're just like, oh, it's incredible. Oh, and she snorts when she laughs. It's so cute. Ooh, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, every little thing about them just is magic. And then a year later, that wears off, and you're like, and she snorts when she laughs. And if she does that again, I'm going to put a pillow on her head, man. But then the way this life journey is designed, that's actually the doorway that you walk through to a mature, um, deeply connected, evolved relationship where you actually end up loving her when she snorts, when she laughs, because it's her.
But
Because it's her.
how do you go from that annoyingness to that, oh well, it's her. Maybe I missed that part.
Right. Well, this is sort of a complex um, experience where it's an we organically evolve and mature as we go through the lifespan. And as we start getting different needs met, we get attached to different needs, and then we get those needs fulfilled, we find that they're actually not fulfilling. And so as we go through the life journey, we get greater clarity about what we really need and what really makes us feel whole, and what's truly fulfilling. So at some point, the appreciation for someone who is sincere and true and loyal and committed to a partnership, to taking a journey of love together with you, you recognize as very rare and very special, very sacred. And all the distractions, you start to they start feeling very superficial, very insubstantial, very unrewarding, very unfulfilling. And you start appreciating also the more superficial qualities of other human beings that you might have initially been attracted to or drawn to. You start to appreciate the essence of your partner in a real way. And this is, if you're not at that level of maturity, this sounds like a lot of, yeah, I get it, sure, okay, good human being, whatever. But when you reach that level of maturity, that actually is your experience.
So is it just a natural evolution of maturity, or is there steps people can take to quickly start maturing a little bit faster?
Yeah, by learning how your impulses own you and your drives sabotage your happiness. At some point, you start realizing that chasing a fix is really just a very empty experience. And so, yeah, there are the techniques of meditation is a start of learning how to deeply contemplate and to cultivate appreciation and gratitude and devotion, and to become more self-aware. To really become more self-aware, it gives you a clarity of it's an organic, it happens naturally. Um, Clearly, some people are not destined, for whatever reason, to reach a certain depth of relationship. I would like to think that everybody is capable and has that potential. I know that if you look around, some people are simply not destined to reach it. But being in the vibrational space of others who are on the same journey, who are called to put love first, who feel this intuitive, primal drive um, to really to be true to what love really is, to listen to this inner voice, and to recognize all the other voices, the false voices of their family, of their culture, of their society, of their professional life, of their, maybe their spiritual community, if it's not an authentically aligned one, to recognize all of the false internalized voices that we've taken on that have been directing our life, and to start trusting our self, our inner guidance, to get clarity and recognize our inner guidance, and then to have the courage to stand strong in that, even when to have the courage to let go of these automatic distractions, pressures, anything that keeps one from the course of our most basic need, which is to know ourselves as love and to share that knowing with another human being, so the two of you become greater than the sum of its parts.
So, from all your combined helping hundreds of couples stay together, your own 30 years of marriage, what is love?
Love is a state of being. Love is a state of consciousness. Love is not, love is the opposite of desire. Love is wholeness. Love is a perpetual journeying into truth. It's a deep question. Love is God.
People will say they're in love.
Mm-hmm.
They feel love. They feel like they're in love. And then their emotions change.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now they're saying they're out of love, or they never loved so and so. But from you, in your perspective, love sounds more than an emotion.
Love is not an emotion. Emotion, motion, movement. Love is completion. Love is absolute fulfillment. Love is when you are home in your own heart, home with another human being, totally complete, fulfilled. It's a drive in the sense that you want to always deepen it and deepen it and deepen it. But it's a feeling of wholeness. So what most people think of as love is actually passion, it's attachment, it's possession. Love is free. Love is freedom. Love is a state of being where I am love, no matter what is around me. It's an inner state of consciousness, and when you can share that with another human being, then you've truly won the game. And it never ends. You can always go deeper into the world of the spirit.
So, as myself as an accountability consultant, I view accountability as a master key to success. I've seen it be successful in business, in career life, and in so many areas. How does accountability fit into relationships and marriage?
Your human nature and your emotional nature are always going to try to sabotage you by triggering you into anger, blame. That's the ultimate lack of accountability. It's someone else's fault. And we have a lot of thought patterns that are blameworthy. Either we blame others for the choices we've made, or we distract ourselves, we entertain ourselves as a form of anesthetizing ourselves. So being responsible for staying present and staying connected with our essence as our deeply held traumas are revealed to us, and we don't want to look at ways that we might be thrown into self-judgment. Like, in order to look at ourselves, we see things that we don't like, and then we start judging ourselves. We were often imprinted with a toxic relationship with our own self-growth. So when we're young, we need our attachment figures to mentor us in a positive way. People talk about constructive criticism all the time. Constructive criticism feels good to get. It means that a guide is supporting us in our journey to recognize how to be more effective and capable and authentically express our highest potential. But instead, what we get usually from our parents, from the culture, is a kind of a punitive, blaming sort of a correction, which is an expression of their insecurity, where we start defining ourselves as inadequate or as somehow wrong based on making mistakes, when the fact is that we all are learning every day of our lives, and we're all making mistakes every day of our lives, including the mentors and the teachers that are telling us to measure up, right? So instead of them speaking truth to us and supporting us, and, you know, mom or dad usually, or, you know, hey, I made this mistake too. You're going to make mistakes as well. Let me help you do better at it. That's great. Now try it again. Okay, no, that you made a mistake again. That's okay. We all do that. We're going to get this right. Instead of that kind of a constructive, collaborative approach, they often have not admitted to themselves that they have not met their own standards for themselves. So they project that onto us with a false idealization of, you know, what's the matter with you? This is what you're supposed to be. Why don't you measure up? Or they think that withholding love as a punishment is, well, I'm not going to, you better succeed at this, or I'm going to judge you. All of which has been culturally transmitted within the culture of the family or within other cultures, you know, systems of consciousness. So we end up on an unconscious level defining ourselves by our mistakes rather than by how we learn from our mistakes and evolve into the best version of ourselves. So, full circle to the question you asked me, being accountable. In order to be accountable, you have to face yourself. And people really fool themselves. People really come up with all kinds of rationalizations and self-justifications to not to justify not being accountable. But at the end of the day, it's dissolving, it's burning through these reactions of tension, these unpleasant experiences, and really facing these inner voices of I suck, or I did that wrong, or they are rejecting me. Well, what does that really mean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they reject me, well, it's because they're screwed up. Or they reject me. Yeah, I know I suck. I don't deserve love. I knew this was going to happen. That's like the ultimate fear of a long-term relationship is that once all the bells and whistles have died down and we're just two naked apes sharing a bathroom, that your partner is going to look at you and say, oh, yeah, I actually don't like this person. They're going to reject you. And when the two of you can really see through to each other's souls and say, wait a minute, we're on the same journey together, and I'm going to embrace you just like I want you to embrace me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody ages well. None of us age well, right? And
Well, I do, but everybody else.
right. Finding someone to take that committed, loyal journey as we get older and weirder and more disgusting is such a sacred blessing. And to really appreciate just that intention in each other, that unconditional commitment to each other, is itself an act of beauty. So you look at the sunset, it's beautiful. Or a waterfall, or the stars at night. All right, beauty. A human being, a soul, a spirit, who makes a conscious choice to release negativity and toxicity and give love instead, that is an act of beauty on a soul level. That's like a beautiful piece of music. So when we do that with each other, that becomes what we expect of each other. So instead of expecting these old, this old dance that we've been watching ourselves do forever, instead of creating these self-fulfilling prophecies where we know that there's this, walking on eggshells thing, and I'm going to walk in there and, oh, this is going to suck, man. This is going to go badly. And then you walk in and that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
You start to actually, and that creates a nervous system response that locks you into this prison. But when you actually start creating, committing to and having fun, collaboratively loving and being safe with each other, that takes on a life of its own, a momentum that becomes what you expect of each other. And so then that becomes the new reality, and its nature is to build on itself. That creates its own momentum that organically starts creating a strength and a depth of connection between the two of you that has its own positive, infinite trajectory.
I wanted to get clear on these two married couples. They said, I do. They have that, couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Right.
Best honeymoon stage imaginable. for the first year. Now they're at odds with each other a couple years later. How do they realign themselves to go down that journey? How do they reignite that spark? Or should they just call it quits? Like, what strategies have you encouraged with the hundreds of couples that you've supported to reignite that fire between them?
You have you have to have a sense that you are blaming your partner for an unresolved issue within yourself. So any way that you reject your partner, any way that you judge your partner is really a way that you judge yourself. So if you think about it, like let's say that you are
That's really
drowning.
powerful. That's all right. That's really deep, though. Don't you think that's pretty deep? That's
Mhm.
pretty deep. You're saying that when they're just projecting onto them. They're projecting their own
Mhm.
wound.
We all we all reflect each other's issues. We all reflect each other's journeys, whatever triggers. So if you, we're all mirrors for each other. If you have a bully in your life, it means either that you are a bully or it means that you're showing up as a victim. There's some way, there's always a teaching in any kind of challenge that we face. And all of the challenges are really opportunities to cultivate qualities of excellence within ourselves. And that goes for the marriage as well.
Can you give me an
So,
example? Like those that just two couples or a couple?
so
How-
let me put it this way. So, like, let's say that you're drowning in the ocean, and over in one direction is a floating bag of $20 million, but it won't support your weight. And over in another direction is a life raft, a floating life raft. Even it could even be covered in bird crab. You're going to swim for the life raft because that's what you need. That's what's important to you. And if you are honest with yourself, you are going to be so grateful for that life raft. You're going to be, this is a miracle. This is amazing. Thank God you're not going to walk around saying, I could have been a millionaire. I mean, no, you couldn't have. You would have drowned. So looking at the choices that you made, you got what you need. And every choice that you made was a reflection of exactly what you needed at that time. That was it a reflection of your highest truth? Or was it a reflection of, so let's say you swam for the $20 million. Well, you would have drowned, right? That would have been a bad choice. In life, we can actually swim for the $20 million and we drown in slow motion over the course of years. But facing the truth of who we are and what we really need and cultivating gratitude for what we have and understanding the nature of our choices. And so a lot of times, well, all the time, we project onto our partner our own unresolved issues. Like, for example, this happened a long time ago in my own marriage. I walked in on my wife while she was watching Dateline. And, in my profession, especially at that time, well, to this day, unfortunately, I see the darkest, I deal with the darkest realities of human nature, the most horrific traumas. And so it's not entertainment for me. The last thing I want to watch when I'm done working is Dateline. That's like the last thing I want to watch. And I walked in and I said, oh, I don't know how you can watch that. And I walked out. And for me, what I meant was just that. Like I'm full of this stuff. And I don't want to think about it now. But, you sure, watch it. It's important to be prepared to know what kind of danger is out there. Absolutely. But she thought I was saying only stupid people watch this. How can you be so stupid as to watch that? Right? Which had to do with her own unresolved issues, right? She was misunderstanding what I said. So like so many couples, we had what I refer to as familiarity rather than intimacy. Familiarity is when you know what to expect from each other, but you don't really know why you're doing it. So it's like you're reading each other's minds, but you're getting it wrong. Intimacy is when you really deeply understand each other, and that there's like a limitless capacity to know each other more and more deeply, and it is so sweet when you can do that. So I said that to her, and I walked out, and I could feel it in the air, because we are very intimate. And I was like, oh, that was off. And I went back, and she's like, you're implying I'm stupid or something. I'm like, oh no. So this is just one example of the ways that we think that we don't understand each other, but getting to know each other reveals our own insecurities, our own weaknesses. She had a fear of being judged, right? Mm-hmm. That came from, or of being, whatever her stuff was, right? And there was actually a teaching in it for me. There was a way that I was insensitive to her, that I just didn't intuitively understand how to communicate to her. It's remarkable how minor tones of voice, facial expressions, contexts in which we communicate things have very personal meanings for people. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to be dismissive and say, oh, come on. But we all have our reality, and becoming truly intimate means, look, the world doesn't have to care about how things are for you, but I do, because it's important to me, because that's the meaning that we're creating out of our marriage. The meaning is you're going to care about me in all the ways I'm weird. I'm going to care about you in all the ways you're weird. If you're broken, I'm going to heal you with love. And if we can't heal you, I'm going to love you anyway. So our traumas and our wiring is so uniquely personal. I had a client a long time ago who was had a phobia about butterflies. Butterflies made her paralyzed with fear. And you can't just say, oh, it's just a butterfly, get over it. This is real. We all have our different versions of that. And caring about that for each other is so healing, but it also brings out the best in us. See, I don't like myself if I am dismissive about something my wife takes seriously. But we all do that. It's actually violating the safety, the contract of devotion and safety that we commit to when we marry. And so when we don't follow through on a commitment we made, we lose self-respect. But we do it all the time in a marriage. And so when you are asking me, how do you make that shift? It's facing yourself and realizing all the ways that you're betraying your own highest values by not putting love first. So when you are inspired to be loving, you release all of the barriers to the flow of care and connection between you and your partner. And then that very organically creates, the movement. It's a natural thing for the two people to come together as you heal these issues, as you are naturally inspired. As I said, in one exercise that I give my clients, and there's nothing that I don't counsel my clients to do that I have not mastered myself, because I don't have any business asking someone else to do something that I haven't mastered and that my wife and I haven't mastered together, is when you notice yourself about to do or say something negative, toxic, judgmental, critical, harsh. Notice it, and then in that very moment, intentionally do or say something kind, loving, caring, as a victory over toxicity, as a victory over all the negativity that you've ever experienced in your life that traumatized you or wounded you, that you've ever seen when you're looking around at people and going, why are people so lousy to each other? As owning your space on earth to create a positive light and to create a positive marriage. It's so beautiful you walk into a room and you turn on the light. Oh, that's lovely. You're in a marriage. You have a negative impulse towards your partner and you say, wait, I'm going to do something light and beautiful. Watch what happens. You feel better. They feel better. You both feel better. You establish this as a new pattern. It's an existentially beautiful act, just like looking at the moon and the stars, or the beach at sunset, or a waterfall, or a thunderstorm with lightning. That's beautiful too. And the more you do that, the more you train yourself, the more you realize what a self-imposed prison judgment and negativity and all that stuff are. If you have someone else that wants to take a journey where you're both doing that for and with each other, you're home free. And when you create that environment for your kids, then that, first of all, it demonstrates to them that it's possible, that they don't have to settle for less than that. And it also establishes a vibration for them that feels very familiar, so that in fact they are naturally drawn. They are oscillating at a certain frequency that will attract into their world people and situations that reflect this limitless opportunity for positive creation back to them. So their life journey becomes one of creativity and authentic self-expression, rather than working through their issues.
Wow. Are you able to share some other tools, techniques, strategies that once the dream we come together on the dream, we're rebuilding the dream, we're working together to keep moving in that direction?
It's learning how to have fun loving each other. So a marriage is a living system, just like those plants behind me, right? You got to water them. Marriage, you got to keep watering with love, but it's not some therapy homework assignment. It's inspired. It feels good to share care and appreciation, to reach out, to talk, to touch, to appreciate, to appreciate. That's one of the things we most deeply want, is to be appreciated, to be seen, right? Like not at this superficial social media level where everyone's putting on
Their best.
yeah, but like I see the essence of you. I see these qualities that I respect. I see these qualities that I love. I get you. There's that being seen in that way. And appreciating your life is actually brings out one's own character and dignity and self-esteem and um, sense of uh, inner peace. I every day when I take a hot shower, I don't take that for granted. I mean, you think the people in Gaza and Ukraine and elsewhere, you think that they would like a hot shower? It's a miracle. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this. Well, that's how you should feel towards and with your partner, to have another human being that's eager to take a journey of love with you. What a miracle. What a blessing. The sense of being completely fulfilled very organically blossoms from that state of consciousness. You know, I'm here, I'm looking out at the sunset in the mountains, as a matter of fact, in the woods and the mountains. And it's filling me with this sense of majesty and joy, completion. That's how my marriage feels in my heart. I carry that with me everywhere. It's a living thing. And I contemplate that and I savor that. And my wife does the same.
Did you ever take your marriage for granted? Or your wife for granted? Because I think they say what familiarity breeds contempt, something like that. I don't know, where you're so used to them that
Yeah.
appreciation just becomes normal.
We met in our 20s. In my experience, people don't really start deeply maturing until their 40s. And I didn't really even understand that until I started being a therapist and working with the revolving door of humanity. So you're asking me, I mean, you know, there's no block that we haven't been around, Maria and I, you know. We've been through all the common emotional states. Really, that's what I'm trying to do for couples, is save them 10 or 20 years of learning things the hard way, you know?
A good way of saying it. So what's the dream look like, or when it's been rebuilt and they found their way back to each other in a really great way? What does the marriage look like past that point? Ideally, or from your experience.
Doesn't look like anything. It just feels whole and feels complete. It's an experience of absolute wholeness, inner peace, completion. You know, and it's a journey. It's a journey of discovery. It can, it doesn't look like anything. It just feels whole and complete.
So if there's anybody watching this, maybe single, maybe at that place of considering divorce or tension or whatever's happening in their individual relationships or whatever, do you have any advice for those who want to get married, for those who want to save their marriage?
Ask yourself really what you need, and can your partner meet these needs? But people are often not honest. And this is the beautiful, this is one of the many beautiful dimensions of marriage, is a lot of people don't want to face how shallow they are. But when you really, what's really important to you? Is it status? Is it looks? Is it, money? Is it being able to have power over somebody? Emotional power? Is it fundamentally narcissistic, or is it fundamentally a sharing of love? How clear are you about what love is? That question that you asked. It's that warmth. It's that feeling of it's deep, and it's caring, and it's whole, it's innocent. I mean, can you be satisfied with that? Not can you be satisfied with that. Do you recognize that that is the essence, that can fulfill you, if that is the foundation of the life you are living and creating? Can you start there? And then everything else is just an add-on. Everything else is just part of the journey that can come and go. So can this other human being, what qualities do you need? It's much easier if you're compatible, right? Like if you like the same music, if you like the same, whatever. If on the surface you're more compatible, it's much, much easier. But at the end of the day, really what you need is that both of you are committed to putting love first. And what does that really mean? It means supporting each other. It means recognizing that ways that you can't love them are only your own limitations. If that's really if that's the epiphany that you have. I mean, if you're listening and you're saying, oh, well, no, I need this. And no, it's not a limitation. It's what I know I know what I need. Then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to anybody who recognizes that this essential love, this goodness, this knowing of how to truly care for each other and discover how to evolve that sense of communion with each other as the most profound and fulfilling journey that you can take. Fulfilling. It feels fulfilling when you give up bad habits. If you're still attached to the habits, then you're free. You're free to live the life that you want to live. So you ask yourself, can this person meet my needs? Well, what are my needs? What are my needs really? Because if you might think that you might really want some things that are very bad for you. Or you might not be able to admit the truth about yourself and what you really need. Like, you might not be able to admit that can go both ways. That you're actually you're always going to be kind of narcissistic, or that you're going to have to give up things that you really thought that your ego felt like it needed for you to be, quote, successful, but you actually don't need any of that. You're going to take your unique personal journey with someone else who can meet your needs, and you're going to find fulfillment in meeting their needs, and you're going to create a very unique life together. That's an expression of your own unique, your most authentic, brightest light.
It has been an absolute pleasure to learn from you, Ray. Ray Rivers, one of the most finest relationship coaches, marriage coaches in the United States. And you have empowered me and those who may be watching to learn some really incredible things, some tools, techniques, some tips that we can really transform our relationships. So tell the people how they can learn more about you, learn from you, how they can stay connected with you. Let the people know.
You're very kind. I appreciate that. My website is relationshipremedynow.com. And my YouTube channel is Ray Rivers dash Relationship Remedy. And if I can serve you, it'll be an honor and a privilege.
Do you have like a newsletter or something that people can stay up to date with?
No, you can go to my website and get on my mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible. Ray Rivers, you have been such a delight. And I thank you for taking your time. I know you're a busy guy. You're saving marriages all across the country. Do you do virtual?
Yes.
Okay. So probably all across the world.
Yes.
And
Indeed.
I look forward to learning more from you. And thank you for your time. And thank you for your willingness to share your wisdom with those who may be looking for more.
Hey, I really appreciate you asking me on, Lamar. Thanks so much.